Hello everybody and welcome to week 3 of the Pokemon Battle League, Season 4, week 3. Season 4, not Season 3. I am Evan, head coach of the Saffron City Sneasels, and today I am going to be taking you through my battle with Chris of the Pallet Town Dunsparce. Chris is a newcomer to the league, a friend of Dan's, and he is in my division, the Kanto division. From what I have heard, Chris is a very talented Pokemon player. He won his first 2 matchups against Jake and Dan, and let's get into my matchup against him. So going into this match, I was definitely very aware of how much power he had on his team. His team was, I'd say maybe even, there's a ton of power on his team. But the one thing that's a little bit, I guess, beneficial for me is that his top 4 hardest hitters are all physical attackers that are not immune to burn. So with that in mind, I had a pretty easy game plan for my defensive mons, bring physically defensive guys, have Will-O-Wisp on somebody, and be able to repeatedly switch in and endure the raw power and damage coming out from his side. So he opens with his Registeel against my Protean Greninja. My Protean Greninja does not have U-turn this week, so I just do a quick switch out to my Mega Charizard. Hello Roxy, that's my cat meowing in the background. I had a plan that there were 3 Pokemon on his team that Mega Charizard could basically switch in for free on and either set up or deal damage, and those were Registeel, Moltres, and Scizor, and he brought 2 out of the 3 of those, so I was very excited to see that at the very beginning. He gets the Stealth Rocks up, and I was anticipating him setting up Stealth Rocks, which is why I brought out Charizard so quickly, just so I could only take a quarter instead of half every time I want to come back out. I'm a little bit behind, like a turn behind. So he used the Moltres to switch into the Charizard, tanked it pretty easily, but I knew that he couldn't hurt me, so I just decided to Dragon Dance anyway. And after that he goes after the Primarina. I had Thunder Punch specifically for the Primarina. It does not kill, so I'm guessing he had a good amount of bulk on there, and then I'm able to endure a Moon Blast. I do pick up the kill with a follow-up Fire Punch. I went for the Fire Punch in case he tried to save the Primarina for later, which he did not. And then he goes out to the Medicham. I know a Fake Out is very likely. Even though I am faster, a Fake Out would kill me. So I gotta get out of there. And I go to one of my physically defensive mons. Fanboy the Rotom fan. Yes, Roxy. Fanboy is probably the worst Rotom, but the worst Rotom is still a good Pokemon, because Rotoms are great. I take the Fake Out pretty well, and I will be able to resist a fighting move, and I will be able to survive a Zen Headbutt, and that was definitely the goal. So I'm going to just try to burn something. I'm going out with the Will-O-Wisp, hoping he'll stay in. He doesn't. He goes out to the Registeel, which is basically this thing in Primarina and Moltres are the 3 things I didn't want to burn, but at least I get to negate leftovers for the rest of the match. So it's not bad. It's just he read the Will-O-Wisp. Early on in these turns, I haven't battled Chris before, so I'm playing very safe. I don't want to make bold predictions because I don't really know his playstyle yet. So I Volt Switch on out of there, and I go to Pink Lemonade, courtesy of Mike. Thank you, Mike. Rest in peace. Pink Lemonade is a great Pokemon. Unfortunately, it does get paralyzed here, which is going to make things a bit difficult because Pink Lemonade, in addition to being just an all-around good Pokemon that has good matchups against his team, one of the main reasons I wanted to bring it was that it can one-shot a Mega Medicham with Brave Bird, even with no attack investment. I'm just going max HP, max speed this week. But I need to outspeed, and with the Thunder Wave, I don't outspeed anymore, which sucks because a Zen Headbutt would obviously kill me. Or, let's say, a Thunder Punch or an Ice Punch. I also had this thing out here for the Bulu, because a Brave Bird will 2-hit KO a Tapu Bulu, and I times 4 resist grass moves and fighting moves for the Medicham. So I defog away the Stealth Rocks, and then I take a Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss is really the only main attacking thing that Registeel gets because it's an incredibly passive Pokemon, but it can kind of get away with being so passive because it has stealth rocks and it's just a bulky guy. So I'm going to roost up because I know I can, and if he wants to set up stealth rocks again, I can defog it. Basically, after I suffered the paralysis, I realized this thing is just going to be a defogger and kind of my safe switch in if I just need to be passive. He's no longer going to be able to check the Metachan. He can still kind of check the Bulu though. So right now, I'm kind of fine where I'm at. And again, this match is kind of long because I am taking my time here. I don't want to make a bold prediction that backfires. I do U-turn here, and I go out to Lucky, the Jirachi. This, I believe, is my second week using a more defensive Jirachi. Week 1, I had a Scarf Jirachi, but this is a very bulky one, physically defensive. I get paralyzed, which is annoying. Not the worst thing in the world. I don't need to be able to outspeed Tapu Bulu to be able to threaten it with an Iron Head. And I can take at least one hit from a Mega Metacham. He goes out to the Moltres, which is a good switch, and I'm unfortunately paralyzed. I believe I was going for Stealth Rocks there to get my rocks up and basically really put the Moltres in a bad spot. But I fail, and I don't want to take the fire move, so I go out to Fanboy, the Broken Fan. He goes for the Hurricane. I'm not exactly sure what the Hurricane move was for. I'm trying to think who that was intended for. Maybe my Greninja, but I would not have wanted to switch my Greninja in this early to that hard of a hitter. So I do resist the Hurricane, and he switches out to the Tapu Bulu, which is actually a pretty good matchup for me, but I Volt Switched, I believe. I think we're going to see a Volt Switch here. So I Volt Switch out, and the Tapu Bulu is, I haven't been able to identify the set to this point. I eventually do identify it later on. And I go out to my Jirachi, one of my answers to the Bulu. He has to fear the Iron Head, so I'm expecting him to get on out of there. And hopefully paralysis doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do, which I think is, again, Stealth Rocks. He goes out to his Landorus T. In my opinion, this is the biggest weakness of Chris's team. He has Tapu Bulu and Landorus T. Oh, there you go. You see my paralysis holding me back. Unfortunate. But he has to U-turn because even though he can super effectively hit me with an Earthquake, it's only going to do, well, half damage and then the super effective. So it's going to basically do neutral damage to a physically defensive Pokemon. It kind of isn't great for him. Okay, so I don't go for the Stealth Rocks. I go for the Body Slam. I do not get the paralysis. And I do get a critical hit, which is nice. I mean, not amazing. Let me quiet down Discord. Shut up, Discord. Alright, so he goes for the Roost, negating that tiny little boost of damage on my crit, and basically keeping himself healthy in case I do get up Stealth Rocks, which I finally do here after being paralyzed twice and going for a Body Slam, which... Right, okay. So, he goes out for the Fire Blast on my Jirachi, and it does over half because I'm not specially defensive, I am physically defensive. And I go out for the U-turn. I probably should have expected that, but I didn't have a better switch at this point, so I just allowed that to happen, and it actually works out really well for me because I get a free switch out to my Protein Greninja Eraserhead, and I know I'm faster, and I can try to make a prediction, but instead I'm just going to go straight for that Hydro Pump. And the Hydro Pump is definitely going to be able to KO here. I'm okay with rolling that 80% chance here. I know a lot of people in the league don't like rolling the dice on those moves, but sometimes you need it. For example, in that situation, a Surf would not have gotten the KO, but a Hydro Pump does. So he goes out to the Tapu Bulu. I am Choice Scarfed this week, so I need to get on out of there. I don't... later on, I will be able to comment more on why he did this, because obviously I could be going like with an Ice Beam or some sort of other Protean switch, but it's because he is Scarfed himself, and he hasn't identified that I'm Scarfed, so he was expecting to outspeed with the Wood Hammer, I believe. But as you can see, my Crobat is easily able to tank a Wood Hammer as I ×4 resist it, and then he goes out to the Landorus T, again with Grassy Terrain up. And he gets the Intimidate, which is, I mean, I wasn't going to do a lot of damage with Brave Bird anyway. I went for the Brave Bird, just in case he wasn't, like, I'm not sure, I think in hindsight I should not have gone for the Brave Bird. but I really wanted to get rid of the Bulu, and because he stayed in with the Moltres, I was thinking maybe he'll stay in with the Bulu as well. And again, this is me sort of trying to feel out what kind of player Chris is. He goes for the Earthquake, anticipating me to switch out to somebody, probably Jirachi, I guess. I think. Oh, maybe he was expecting me to Roost and then hit me there. But I was slower because of the Thunder Wave anyway, and I get to U-turn out, and I go out to my Gardevoir, who can trace his Intimidate and throw it right back at him, neutralizing him. And on top of that, there's the grassy terrain, so his Earthquake's really not going to hit hard. A U-turn's not going to hurt too much either. So this is one of the main reasons why I brought Gardevoir. This is one of the main abilities I wanted to copy. And he goes up to Registeel, which is a great answer to Gardevoir. I go for the Moonblast. I'm not trying to make a prediction right now. Honestly, I don't know. I think that it was worth going. I think you'll see that this match definitely slows down because I don't make predictions early on. Originally, the game plan was Gardevoir will be able to throw out Moonblasts on everybody on his team except for Moltres, Registeel, and Scizor. And if you remember what I was saying earlier, Charizard X can switch in on all three of those Pokemon basically for free and then either set up or wall break. So that was the game plan. Gardevoir working with Charizard X. Gardevoir lures out the vulnerable Pokemon. Charizard X comes in and gets the setup. But the Primarina injured my Charizard X down to less than a quarter health. So that plan kind of doesn't work anymore, which is okay. You got to be able to adapt, and not everything you plan is going to work perfectly. So I can no longer do that, so Registeel suddenly became way more difficult to deal with. And plus now Stealth Rocks are back up, which is a minor annoyance. I'll just have to defog him again. So Registeel, originally I was like, oh, this guy is setup bait, I love it, and now it's, oh, Registeel, how the hell do I get rid of this thing? So I go out to the Crobat again because while Crobat can't hurt it, he can't hurt me, and he doesn't have recovery and I do. So eventually I'm going to just sort of win out. And here is me going for defog because gotta keep the rocks away so I can eventually bring out Charizard at a quarter HP, or less than a quarter. He goes out to the Medicham because it would be very strange of me to go for a Brave Bird against his Registeel, and he knows he's faster because I'm paralyzed. And I go back out to the Rotom Fan, who is below half, and this is basically just a sacrifice. Rotom Fan, I'm realizing it's going to be very difficult to get a burn because he can keep going onto the Registeel, who's already burned and doesn't mind a burn. So until Registeel's gone, I'm not going to burn anything important. And I don't expect to get rid of Registeel until I start losing things and I get free switches in. So I let Rotom Fan die to the Medicham, and I get a free switch to my Gardevoir, who, by the way, is Choice Scarf, so I will outspeed this thing. I was originally a little afraid of Bullet Punch, but after I had seen that he has Fake Out and Thunder Punch, I figured his last two moves would probably be his stab moves, so I think he wasn't running Bullet Punch, and that was why I was willing to bring out the Gardevoir on that thing. Again, I go for the Moonblast. See, again, if my Charizard was healthy, it would be a great opportunity to go right out to him. Now I have to fear, okay, he's either going to want to set up Stealth Rocks, or he's probably going to want to spread a Thunder Wave. So I gotta get out of there. I definitely don't want to get Thunder Waved, and I go out to the Eraserhead hoping that he would actually, what was I going for here? I think this was a misplay on my part. I don't remember. The battle was a little, what was it, 4 days ago? I'm not sure what it was. I think I might have been expecting a double switch, actually. I think I was expecting him to go out to either Landorus or Bulu. I think that's what I was hoping for. I think, because, yeah, it's later in the game, and I was feeling more bold and willing to try to make some big double switch predictions. It didn't pay off. Thankfully, he didn't go for a Thunder Wave on the Greninja. This following turn, he goes for the Thunder Wave on the Greninja, but I saw that coming, so I went out to an already paralyzed Pokemon, which was Jirachi, and he can't really hurt me outside of Seismic Toss, so I can either U-turn or set up Stealth Rocks myself, and I believe I do just go for the U-turn here, as he goes out to the Landorus with the Intimidate. And there's no grassy terrain on the field, so I have to actually be afraid of this thing. Okay, so I do go for the Stealth Rocks. Yeah, because I got rocks on my side, he doesn't have rocks on... I have rocks on his side, he doesn't have rocks on my side. I didn't know Landorus was going to have Defog, but I believe he goes for Defog on this following turn. And I cannot risk U-turning, and Earthquake does definitely kill me. And who do I go out to? I go out to Pink Lemonade again. Crobat really carried my team defensively this week. Honestly, his his only answer to it is somebody you don't want to switch in very often because of the Brave Birds. So Crobat was just, all in all, the perfect bring on my team. And that's one of the reasons I drafted it. It has really good matchups against my division. It offers a ton of utility: Taunt, U-Turn, Defog, Brave Bird, Super Fang. I go for the U-Turn here because I knew he'd have to switch with his Landorus, because his Landorus has nothing to hurt me. So far I've seen Earthquake and Defog, and I think I saw U-Turn, I'm not sure. But if I haven't seen it, I still expect it to be there. So I get a free switch on the Registeel, and I can finally bring out the Charizard without having to fear taking a Seismic Toss and dying. And here I go for the Fire Punch, and I am able to finally remove the Registeel. I do get a critical hit. However, I will say, I asked Chris after the match what set he was running on his Registeel, and then I calced it. The Fire Punch that I hit him with was to do 49 to 50 something percent, and he was below half, so I would say maybe 49. So he had maybe a 1% chance to survive. So the crit really did not matter. Or maybe it did. I guess, 1 in 100 is possible. He goes for the Facade on my Crobat, and that's interesting. I'm guessing he was running Facade. Honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe he expected me to be spreading statuses on his team. I don't think Facade counteracts the fact that you're burned. I think most people that run Facade have Guts. So maybe he was expecting to be Toxicked or Paralyzed. I don't know. Because he's Choice Scarf. So it's not like he's trying to do some sort of rest sleep talk thing. So I'm a little confused why he had the Facade. Maybe he was expecting me to like Toxic him down with Crobat. Maybe. That's my best guess as of right now. Or Thunder Wave from Jirachi or something, or Body Slam from Jirachi. So I go out to I get a free switch from a U-Turn. Go out to my Greninja, and here comes the Ice Beam. Ice Beam's gonna hit very hard. It does well over half. I could go for another Ice Beam, but I really don't want to be taking Fake Out damage. Fake Out's really going to be messing me up, because Fake Out's probably going to do about half to me, and I've realized with my Jirachi paralyzed and my Charizard X at like less than a quarter HP, Greninja is going to need to stay alive. So he goes for the Fake Out like I expected. Crobat's able to tank it, and I think I have to get out of here. No, I just let this thing die. Okay, yeah, so I let the Crobat die after putting in a lot of work, and I'm okay with that because by this point, his Bulu is vulnerable enough to die, I think. His Medicham's vulnerable enough to die to multiple things on my team. I go out to the Gardevoir again, because Moonblast is going to be able to deal a lot of damage, and on top of that, he no longer has Registeel to switch in. So this thing can basically just throw out those Moonblasts. And here is where I'm going to chunk down the Bulu to set up for Greninja later if I need to, but you'll see that I don't really need to. The Moonblast does, say, maybe 75%, really good damage. And then this is where so he's Choice Scarfed, and he kills my Gardevoir, but he's going to kill himself in return, so I was very much okay with that trade. Gardevoir has done her job. So far, all three of my KOs have been actually pretty beneficial to me because they're giving me opportunities to get in there for free. I go out to the Jirachi as he brings back out his Medicham. I expected him to go to Medicham, he only had two options. Unfortunately for him, he does miss his high jump kick and he kills himself. Now if he had hit, I think it would have KO'd, but then I'd get a free switch anyway with my Greninja, and I would have been able to one-shot, and he didn't have priority after the Fake Out had already been used. So, and then I guess he could have recycled and gone to Landorus and then tried to Fake Out again, but I was going to Ice Beam with Greninja anyway. So the end result of this is that missed high jump kick cost him 1 KO, but I still would have won. So he gets a critical hit on an Earthquake super effectively, but because of grassy terrain, I managed to tank it, and then I can freely U-turn in my Greninja with Ice Beam to close out the game. Overall, Chris played a very good match. I'm also very happy with the way I played. I I was very cautious this game. That's why it went on so long. He also had a lot of defensive mons that were very difficult to deal with, particularly Registeel, but also Bulu gave me some trouble, Moltres gave me some trouble in the early game. And this critical hit doesn't matter at all, obviously. Style Ice Beam against ×4 Ice. But I get it anyway. Just a little extra something at the end. So overall, good game, Chris. I expect to see him do very well in this league, and I look forward to playing him again, I think, last week of the season. Next week, I take on Jacob of the Stantlers, and that's definitely going to be a very good game, so I very much look forward to that, and I think you guys should too. Until then, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.